You know how that age-old question of if you could go back in time and you could kill baby Hitler, would you do it? Well, I think Light Yagami would be like, dude, is that even a question? In this world, there are very few people who actually trust each other. Look around you and all you will see is people who the world would be better off without. In all things, one cannot win with defense alone. To win, you must attack. The world is rotten, and those who are making it rot deserve to die. Someone has to do it. So why not me? In this world, there is only good and evil. That was the first universal truth I grasped from observing the world around me when I was but a child. Every human being, without exception, ends up falling into one category or the other. All humans die the same. The place they go after death isn't decided upon by a god. It is nothingness. There is no heaven or hell. No matter what you do while you're alive, everyone goes to the same place when you die. Death is equal. The real evil is the power to kill people. Someone who finds himself with that power is cursed. No matter how you use it, anything obtained by killing people can never bring true happiness. In the end, there is no greater motivation than revenge. And if Kira gets caught, he is evil. If Kira rules the world, he is justice. Hey, what's up, bookworms and those who have a notebook? Mike back today to talk a little more manga again. Yes, I know, it's becoming like a thing now, isn't it? But today we're going to be talking about Death Note, the very, very popular 2003 through 2006 manga. I think they believe they released a epilogue in 2008. This is written by Tsugumi Ohba and is illustrated by Takeshi Obata? All right. I don't know, guys. I always know I'm going to get these names wrong, but I want people to understand. I've just never heard them said out loud. It's definitely not meant as being disrespectful. I just want to make sure that I don't, ruin people's names because your name is your craft. Now, this is a series I've heard about for years now, guys. And if you're new to the channel, you haven't found anything before, I just started reading manga a few months ago when I picked up Berserk for the first time. And so this was the second one that I had. Actually, it was the third one I had on my list. It just kind of skipped ahead of Vinland Saga for reasons we'll talk about another time. But this is one I've heard about for a while because I don't think that you really kind of grow up in pop culture at all anywhere. Yes, even here in the States, and have not at least seen an illustration or heard of Death Note or really just the whole basis behind the story. But this is one that I think that I was interested in for a while. I've always said that if I ever did watch an anime, it would be that one because I thought it looked really neat. I saw the pictures of Ryuk years ago and thought it was very, very cool looking. Always kind of grabbed my attention. But like I said, I didn't really, unlike with Berserk, I said with Kentaro Miura, I knew the name. I don't know Oba's name or Obata's name. I didn't know either of them. In fact, someone actually told me these are like an alias. No one actually knows who wrote this. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just something someone told me the other day. But anyways, no, I didn't know those names, but I knew and recognized Ryuk from, just on, seriously, I saw the picture and I knew who it was. I knew, hey, that's Death Note, even though I know nothing about it. Other than if you write a name in a book, apparently that person dies. So this is going to be volumes 1 through 6, guys, of just the first half. Because that's all I've read at this point is the first half. Instead of trying to do the whole series review at once, I thought, okay, let's break this into 2 because I think there's enough to talk about here to probably do 2 videos for that. With Berserk, there's very clear arcs, and I've been breaking it up by that. With this, I was like, okay, I'm at the halfway point. I feel like I'm going to forget some of the stuff, so I want to make sure that I talk about it now. So that's why I kind of broke it into 2 parts here. We'll be spoiler-free, but there will be a spoiler talk section at the very end. If you don't want to wait that long, I do have the timestamps in the description below. But this is obviously going to be chapter number 1, which is called Boredom, through chapter 52, which is called Split Second. I understand that I'm probably like the last person to read this, so there might not be a need really to sell anyone else on it, but I like to keep these standard reviews as they are, which is mostly spoiler-free. Like I said, occasionally spoilers at the end. We're going to kind of stick with that method here because I'd like to get more people to read this because I think it's going to be quite approachable for all audiences. I'm going to kind of talk about why. Let's begin, as usual, guys, by talking about what is it about. Now, Death Note follows the story of Light Yagami, a teen genius who discovers a mysterious notebook called the Death Note, which belonged to a Shinigami named Ryuk. This notebook grants the user a supernatural ability to kill anyone whose name is written in its pages. Now Light decides to use this newfound power to carry out a worldwide massacre of individuals whom he deems immoral, as he wants to create a crime-free society, using the alias of a godlike vigilante named Kira. But once his actions draw the attention of an elite Japanese police task force led by the enigmatic detective L, those lines start to become blurred, and the question of who deserves to die and who does not come to the forefront. Guys, at least in 2003's Death Note. Now, when we get into what makes it good or bad, the good for me right away is the Shinigami. This is something I've been very interested in. You're going to think this is really, really wild. A lot of people, Western, have found this series, and that's where they first heard this term. I heard this term years ago on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's both the comics and I want to say the cartoon. I had heard of this before, the gods of death. I had heard of this idea before, and I thought it was really, really fascinating. And I know it is based off very, very much off of that culture. So I was interested to find out more in this. I love the ideas that the gods of death find, kind of what human beings, just really basically human nature overall. They find it very, very just interesting. But they kind of find about like what they do when they get a little bit of power. They find that very amusing. As you see, Ryuk is very, very entertained by this. Maybe he says that humans are a riot to watch when they have a notebook, and that's why this kind of keeps happening. But I like that they're all different. They aren't all just stoic, scary, mere mortal kind of, just scary gods. They all kind of seem very different because I think like Ryuk is very much a lot more hands off as one of these. Then you see someone like Rem, who is very, very, very much invested in the person who has his Death Note and things like that. So I like them giving each one of these kind of like different voice and different motives and different actions and stuff, because it could become something to be like, oh great, yes, the big scary gods are here again, but they don't really do that. And I mean, I actually find Ryuk quite amusing, really. But I do think that making them seem different was a very, very good move on the writing staff, and Ryuk. Every time he's on the page, I just want to go downstairs and get an apple. But the cat and mouse games, I think, between L and Light are the best parts of this book. Just seeing them constantly just kind of having like for lack of a better term, a dick measuring contest to see who's the smarter one in the room, But it really is a very, very good game of cat and mouse, because every time I think, oh, he's got him now, the other one will have something up their sleeve. And, the same one doesn't win every time. Every one of them, they both get their victory, so to speak. Now, the big mystery is obviously still out there, but I do like that it isn't just, Light showing up L every time or L showing up Light every time. They're very, very evenly matched. I really do feel like they could be sharing a brain at this point, because they're very, very intelligent, and they both, I love almost in like that Batman way where they're anticipating 3 or 4 moves ahead of everyone else, contingencies for their contingencies, so to speak. But over time, I start to wonder, who is more emotionally stable? The big question is which one's more smart. But more smart and smarter, we know it ain't me. But you do got to start to question, okay, at what points are you, okay, Light is very clearly a sociopath, okay? And I think that L might be a psychopath. So, I don't know. It seems like they're very evenly matched in these things. But, there is a point where it's like, do you have a conscience, like, at all? Either of you, So, it brings up a lot of moralistic questions, I think, that are yet to be answered for me. But I think one of the best things about this manga so far for me is the tension. I mean, there's several parts where you're holding your breath, you're worried, you're scared. Okay, how is this going to have a resolution? Look, like I said that I feel like that Light is, not exactly a decent guy. I mean, he's very much a sociopath, like I said, and there is that point where here's the line that you shouldn't cross, and he's like just he's jousting across it. It's not far enough to jump over that line, but you don't want him to get caught. The whole time. It's like you don't want him to get caught, So I just think that's just really, really good writing to be like that. When you write a character that isn't very good, so to speak, and you don't want him to get caught. I mean, obviously you're kind of rooting for that character. That's what I like about the grimdark fantasy subgenres. It's like it's not exactly likable characters, but you write them in a way where I find myself rooting for them, and I don't know why. And I very much am, but I'm not exactly rooting against L. So it's a very interesting dynamic that he's put together. Another thing I gotta say is just magnificent. You're probably gonna hear me say this in just about every manga review. Is the art is just stupendous. I love it. Now look, I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges here. It's not as good as Miura. No, obviously. The reason I'm doing that, guys, like I said, this is only the second manga I've ever read, so I'm going to make comparisons to Berserk here. I didn't expect it to be as good as Miura. Everyone told me Miura is one of the best ever, so I expect that. But it's not like this is anything to sneeze at. It's okay if not every band is the best band in the world, so to speak. I'm fine. I like lots of bands, right? It doesn't mean that everyone has their personal rankings. It don't mean that you love one of those other ones. Whoever's it's not if you're not first, you're last situation for me here. Okay, so I love the art. It's fantastic. I love, again, something that I see a lot in manga is when they do those first couple of pages. They'll do them with almost like a charcoal drawing, and I just love that visual medium. Charcoal drawings are just so gorgeous. I love them to death. But I think it's great, and again, like I said, it may not be as good as what Miura's doing, but I don't think that this is anything that anyone's ever going to look at and say, wow, that's really ugly, especially when this was a weekly entry. It's amazing what they were able to do. It was such a quick turnaround. So I don't know if these have been touched up over time. Like I said, I'm reading out of the volume collections. No idea. I didn't research that at all, guys. So there might be some people be like, well, those have been touched up. I don't know these things. I'm looking at this as very much as a new reader, so I hope you can roll with me on that. Let's talk about the bad things here. There are a couple bad things. Now, as always, guys, the bad stuff is going to kind of be subjective. These might not necessarily be bad things for you. These are just some things that might have stuck in my craw a little bit and started to kind of bother me a little bit. Some of the plot threads, they do kind of start to seem like they're repeating a couple of times. Or there's ones where it's like, okay, when we have L talking about everything that he wants to do. It's like, you said this 3 chapters ago. This exact same lines you said 3 chapters ago. And I understand if he's got a certain power of deduction, he's going to use that same method every time. I get it. I don't need to read it every time. But again, that is really a very big nitpick because I still feel like this is still rolls pretty quick. There isn't anything really sluggy or sludgy or sloggy here. I'd say around volume 5. Not that I think it gets kind of sloggy, but I think that they do introduce a new villain that really isn't hitting anything for me here. It's more of like a corporate kind of villain, and it just, I don't know. I'm not really feeling them yet. I think I'm coming to the end of that. I don't know. But as of right now, it hasn't really hit for me as well as the first 4 volumes, which I thought were just lightning fast. 5 and 6 kind of hit the brakes a little bit when we started dealing with that corporation storyline. And I don't know. I kind of hope it goes back to the stuff we had a little earlier. Or, you know what? It could very much evolve and I could end up loving it. Right now, I'm kind of I wish he'd really go back to the way it was before. I liked it a lot more then. And then, of course, there's a character of Misa. Now, I know that this is a character that is very divisive among the fan base. I'm not going to lie. Misa has a lot of the tropes that kept me away from this genre for a long time. The goofy animations, the really stupid dialogue. I haven't watched the anime, but I imagine she's got that laugh shit that I can't stand. You guys know what I'm talking about. I've talked about before. The crazy animations, the over-the-top laughs. I don't know. Like I said, when you're reading it, you ain't got to really worry about that. But there are some things there that bother me. I like the character. I like the storyline a lot. I like where he's going with the character, but I can see how that's going to be a character that a lot of people are like, what is this or whatever. But again, it's too early to tell. I think that she's had some big moments that I've enjoyed, so I'm not ready to really call her a bad character or anyone that a character that comes on the screen I'm like, oh god, or something. I mean, this isn't Nina from Berserk or something here that I just want her just to be just murdered brutally or anything like that. I think that there's going to be a lot more to come with her, so I'm not ready to write her off yet. But like I said, there are a lot of those things about manga and anime that kept me away for a while that I feel could be a danger with that character. So we'll be watching that one with a close magnifying glass. Let's go ahead into why you should read it. Look, guys, I think if you're interested in manga, but you haven't really made the leap, this is a great place to start, I feel like. I think it's good for about teens and up because, obviously we're dealing with death and murder and stuff like that. So not too young here. This isn't anything I call YA or anything like that. But this isn't Berserk, guys. This isn't just over-the-top violence and gore. Yes, you're dealing with very violent subject matter, obviously, but a lot of the deaths in here are heart attacks that we don't even see off screen and things like that. So you're not going to really have to worry about too much brutal violence or anything like that. There isn't like over-the-top nudity or sex or anything like that. So I think that you're going to be fine there. I would put this in the teen category for now, but I think it's approachable for anyone there. I mean, I just turned 43 years old, guys, and I'm loving it. So I think that it's approachable for all audiences. But like I said, I'd probably stick with like at least like junior high age and up, maybe. Before you really say you've got kids. I wouldn't be giving this to like your 8-year-old or nothing like that. I wouldn't be letting my 9-year-old read this right now. But there are a lot of things about it that I think are really approachable for new casuals such as myself. So if you aren't ready for something as dark or not safe for work as Berserk is, maybe I think maybe this will be right more in your wheelhouse. I think it has a more than enough of an interesting storyline, at least at the halfway point, to keep you engaged and locked in and wanting to keep picking up that next volume and going on. And I say probably, if you're new to this, read the first 3 volumes. And I say if it isn't hooking you by then, it might not be for you. I don't want to be that guy who tells you, hey, read 6 Malazan books before you decide if you like it or not. With manga, I feel like you can read a volume in a night. I think I read these first 2 volumes in one night. So yeah, reading these first 3 aren't going to be like a humongous commitment. I think if you go that far and you aren't really feeling it, yeah, it's probably not for you. Now, if I got some final thoughts here, I'm going to be honest, guys. I was concerned that Berserk, as much as I'm loving it, was going to kind of be like a one-hit wonder for manga for me. So when I started this, I was kind of worried. One, a lot of people told me, well, you chose to start with the best manga ever, in Berserk, which is, I think, is subjective, obviously. But a lot of people have told me that. Of course, everything's going to be a letdown for you after. So I was worried. I was worried this was going to go in there and be more of that stuff that I was always kind of apprehensive about. A lot of those admitted stereotypes that I had about the genre. And it isn't. It isn't. It's very, very good. I'm enjoying it very, very much. And I can't wait to keep going with it. But I just feel like the storytelling combined with the layered characters, especially Light and L, and with Rim. I like Rim a lot too. I think that's a really good combo. It's got me enough questions, but enough answers to keep me going, keep me hooked, so to speak, and to keep me kind of, firmly rooting for characters, but also starting to worry about what's going to happen. Because eventually, in a series called Death Note, all these characters ain't going to make it, right? So I'm starting to worry about that, but that just means that he's doing very good character work because I care. So that's very, very good. I'm excited to see where it goes for the second half. And like I said, guys, I do hope it kind of does lean back into where the series was going with those first full 4 volumes. But yes, overall, I'm very pleasantly surprised. Very glad I decided to pick this up because, it is. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, who understood that this very, very popular manga was very, very popular for a reason? Who could have seen this coming, So no real surprise there, but I am very, very happy to say I think I'm in this manga thing for the long haul here. And we have Miura and now Death Note to thank for this. And I'm excited to keep going. Now, guys, here's the part where all the people who have already read it are like, okay, well, let's get into what you actually liked about it, other than just these vague hints. So this is the spoiler talk section, guys. If you haven't read yet, I implore you to please pause this, read the first 6 volumes, and come back. I know that that's a tall order maybe, but it's just what it is. Now, if you've read it, hey, keep going, because I'm going to talk about the things that I liked. Maybe some things that I didn't really like. Not going to be beat for beat or anything, but I'm going to talk about some of those key things here. I feel like the real first in-person test he does with the kid on the motorbike was just brutal. I do know that apparently it was implied that there was going to be rape there, but I didn't really get that. And I was like, dude, all it feels like all they're trying to do is like really just like harass this girl. I don't know if the guy deserved to die, but again, he wanted to test it out on maybe a low life, so to speak. If you go into the series being like, well, that person deserved to die and that person didn't, well, then I don't know how much better you are than Light Yagami, right? So I'm trying not to do that myself. His first meeting with Ryuk was terrifying because Ryuk looks terrifying, but also really cool because I think that the reader becomes quickly endeared to Ryuk. At least I did. I don't know. There's something about this cute monster who wants to eat apples all the time and just watch the world burn. I like that about him quite a bit, but I love that he's as fascinated with humans' desires for power as he is with apples, so that's always a lot of fun. I'd always seen everybody, whenever I talked about this series, people always would just give me like an emoji of an apple or something. I didn't understand one. Now I think I do, but just about every fan art I ever see has an apple, so it makes me almost wonder if there's something more to the apples than just Ryuk likes them. I don't know, we'll find out. Right, I think the L fake out death with, was it Lindell Taylor or whatever? That's the moment where it was like, oh, okay, Light, so you're only killing criminals, huh? Yeah, that's where it was like, okay, yeah, no, you're going to do anything to protect your own ass, which I guess I understand, but that was where seeing, okay, where's the line for you? We have no idea because you just leapfrogged over it big time. So it showed that this guy will do what it takes. He doesn't have like a moral high ground on any of this stuff. It's, hey, you know what? If it's going to keep my ass out of jail, I'm going to do it, right? So that's where I think it was the breaking moment for, oh yeah, he's doing this all in noble. He's like Dexter. He's only killing the bad people and stuff like that. No, he's gonna kill just about anybody if it's getting in the way of his quest here. I think, but I love the little twist about give up half of your years left remaining. You can get the Shinigami eyes where you can see the people's names. Because I love the idea that you can't just be like, that person. You got to know their name. You got to know their face. Things like that. And I like that a lot. And you can actually, if you have the Shinigami eyes, you can actually see their name, and kill them immediately, which we see with Misa later on, which is really, really cool. The giving up half your life thing, obviously, that makes it, I think it explains away a lot of plot holes that people would have with this. Why can't you do this or that? I think doing that explains away a lot of plot holes with, say, hey, you can do it, but it's going to take away half your eyes. In fact, overall, I like how at the end of every couple of chapters, you'll have like new rules for the Death Note, and all the time Light will be like, why didn't you tell me that, Ryuk? And Ryuk's basically like, you didn't ask. So I like that the rules might not even be clear exactly to the Shinigami because they're just like, it is what it is. I've been doing this for so long. I've just kind of I get the sense that they've kind of almost become like bored with it a little bit. But I do like that he keeps adding these pages of rules and stuff and setting the rules that we may not know about yet. And again, that kind of helps explain away anyone be like, hey, this is a plot hole here. No, it's explained. You just got to pay attention. Even if you think it is a Deus Ex Machina, it's still explained. It is very much so. I love that. I thought the resolution of the Ray Pember story was quite satisfying. It was very, very tense, with the stuff on the bus. I wasn't quite sure how that was going to come out. It's one of those, again, where you don't want Light to get caught. So you're like kind of almost holding your breath, hoping this crazy, crazy plan he's got is going to work out. And when it does, it's like, it sounds weird to say it's satisfying that he just killed this innocent guy and these 12 FBI agents all at the same time, but it's, again, it's one of those things where you find yourself rooting for maybe the not so good character and you don't know why. Again, it's just really good writing, but I love that he, I hate that I keep saying I love this. I do appreciate the way he's able to then convince Ray's fiance to basically go commit suicide. So it's one of those things that you get these new rules with the book where basically, you can't do anything unrealistic. I like that they do prove that you can't do anything unrealistic like, hey, in an hour, even though you're in the state of Alabama, you're going to die by jumping off the Eiffel Tower an hour from now. You can't do that because it's not possible, right? So I love that there's all these things that they clarify you can and cannot do, but there is different ways for people to die, obviously. I mean, we saw it, obviously, with the kid getting crushed by the bus on the motorbike, stuff like that. There are obviously different ways for characters to die, just heart attacks. I believe that they do the heart attacks thing just because they didn't want this to reach, R-rated territory, showing people like, cutting their own heads off and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know. But a lot of these deaths, most of them happen off screen. And so it's not a big deal, really. But I do like the way that he keeps doing that. But I do like also the early parts where it kind of shows that like he kind of has like noble intent. He is like, oh, we just get rid of the criminals. There'll be no more crime. Then he's talking to Ryuk, and he's like, and I'll become the new god of this earth. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, you started with noble intentions, and then you quickly, let it go straight to your head. And that's where I say I really feel like the guy is a sociopath. He's very, very intelligent, but he's clearly got some mental. He's got a superiority complex. So that's really a bad person, I think, honestly, to find this notebook. Then you got Misa. I had so many people when I first started this who were all like, oh, great series, except Misa. And I can see where people are coming from. Like I said in the non-spoiler section, I'm still very, very open on where the character's going to go. Sure, there are some annoying things or whatever, but never enough where I'm like rolling my eyes or wanting to close the book, So I'm not concerned about that yet. And I definitely think me as a new reader to this genre is there's going to be some hesitancy when I see things like that, but I haven't been tempted to stop reading yet or anything because of her. Like I said, I think she's had some really big moments with Yotsuba and things like that. So it's been pretty good, I think. I think that eventually she's going to realize that Light's insane. I don't know. We don't know. I don't know. I say I think, and then I say I don't know. I'm going to get that a lot, I think, with the series. But I know it's a character that I don't hate. I do like Rim with being like her counterpart. That's really cool. I think that kind of balances it out. He makes dumb decisions, but don't we all, But I think Rim is a very cool character, and I'm interested to see what happens with him going forward, especially since, he's been told that it's his job to kill L now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Light and L, there's a part where they play the most intense game of pickup tennis I've ever seen, right? Just the way that it was drawn, but really cool moments. I like this somewhat almost of like a reluctant friendship these two have developed. And it's almost like a brotherly kind of thing. The parts like, later on, obviously, where they're chained together. And it's like they basically just want to prove that the other one, that they're smarter than the other one. They appreciate how intelligent each other are, but they want to make sure that they're just a little bit smarter. And like brothers, they end up punching each other in the face every couple of chapters, So I'm enjoying their relationship quite a bit. I know there's lots of arguments about it on my Discord about those two characters, and it's all like spoiler tagged out, and I appreciate that as it's my first time. But yeah, I'm sure I'm going to have opinions on that relationship when I get to part 2 or whatever. And then there's Light's dad. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm just going to call him Mr. Yagami. I don't know how this dude keeps us cool. I mean, he works with some people that I don't know. They might not be the smartest people, but I mean, the guy's hands are tied. Everybody doesn't want to, be a part of this because they're afraid of getting killed. They got family to take care of and stuff like that. And, then the police force is doing this stuff. It's just a big old game of politics he's stuck in the middle of. And it has to be completely frustrating to work with someone like L, So I'm amazed that he keeps his cool as well as he does. There's that scene where you think he's going to shoot his own son, and that was a big, like, oh my God, like, clutch your pearls kind of moment. But yeah, it was good. It was good. And I like that character. I'm interested to see where it goes forth. I don't know how not Light, L. I don't know how L isn't fat as shit. The way he eats and while he sits on his ass all the time. But I wish I had his metabolism for sure. And at one point he says, oh, well, thinking this much really will help you burn the calories. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not the way this guy. I mean, this cat is just stuffing like donuts and sugar cubes down his face like constantly. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing metabolism. I'd love to have that. I'm not really digging the Yotsuba storyline very much at all so far. I said this is the part where it feels like the Death Note goes corporate. I feel like it feels like it should have been like an episode kind of thing. And now it's been the last, 2 volumes. I don't know. It's not bad. It just kind of isn't what I was wanting, really. I feel like these guys are total idiots. I mean, just total idiots. I mean, they get caught on tape. They get infiltrated by, I can't think of the guy's name, but he's like he's like the Shaggy of the police force that's just trying to impress L and impress Mr. Yagami a lot. And I mean, even he infiltrates this place. I mean, really cool escape scene with him, by the way. But I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of buffoons. I'm not really taking them seriously. I feel like it's kind of went on a little long. I think I'm coming to the end of that, the kind of the resolution there with Higuchi on the run and things like that. But it's coming to a resolution, I believe. But I'm going to be patient and, like I said, give the writer here an opportunity to make it more interesting. But for right now, it feels like it's kind of slowed down a little bit to that, that lightning pace that we had those first 4 volumes. So I'm hoping it picks up a little bit. But guys, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I am enjoying the heck out of it, if you can't tell, and I'm very much looking forward to keep going. I want to make sure I got these thoughts down before I started with Volume 7, because I don't like to let where things go influence how I feel at that time. So I'm going to kind of do that and then get back into the next arc of Berserk, which is Falcon of the Millennium. And that's kind of where I'm at for the manga stuff right now, guys. So I'm going to finish these two before I start Vinland Saga. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. But as for Death Note, guys, have you read it? Have you read it? Have you read it? What do you think? Drop in the comments and let me know, and I'll make sure that I don't write your name and get you into some trouble. I'll talk to you there.